It comes down to how you want to live your life. Every day, I always think of um, not only living from a place of abundance, but I don't want to be on my deathbed with any regrets. That's something that goes through my mind every day, and that's probably a lesson that very much came alive for me this past year. Is I don't, and we all don't have time to waste. So every day I want to live it optimally, and to me that is making use of all of my senses. And when I'm in that line of questioning, um, of exploring the capabilities of what it is to be a human and the capacities of what it is to be a human, that's why I'm into so many disciplines, is because we have the capacity to do so much. So why be in the line of questioning of limiting ourselves? So on a practical sense, I am actually very practical in the multidisciplinary sense. I like to do things with my hands. I like to do things for myself and see why things make sense to me and come from my understanding and my autonomy rather than listening to somebody else's word first. Like I said before, it comes back to what can I control? And from there, I can determine how I'm going to react to something or someone or whatever it is. I feel more in control of my life and of my days when I exercise what it is to be fully human. And to me, part of that is also, among the many things, the emotional knowledge system and the intuitive knowledge system, as well as the cerebral knowledge system.
Okay, so how does this connect with you, with your culture, with your past, where you come from?
Well, culture to me is past, present, future, all together in one. And you find it most potent in each moment to moment. When you can recognize that we already, in who we are, bring all our ancestors through us. And we did the calculations on this in my Filipino dance group. I thought it was very interesting. But 500 years ago, if you count how many ancestors you have from 500 years ago, that's 2 million. So when you really think about it, you've got 2 million ancestors that move through you, the physical being of you, in this moment right now. So already, I already feel a sense of purpose in that, just in being. And so that's where the meditative practice comes here too. So as far as culture, my ancestors are my culture. And as far as me being in the diaspora right now, as me being second generation Filipino American, I do feel a responsibility to keep my lineage's stories going. So how I'm doing that is through the dances and through the martial arts, through anything that I intuitively resonate with that has to do with my culture. And what I've found is that that's brought me to different islands as well, because the more I focus on one thing, I really am guided into another thing and to know it on that same deep level. So at the end of the day, the ultimate lesson that I learned is that we're all connected.
And so if you were to talk to the next generation,
Okay.
right? You're saying, I love that you said that the culture is both past, present, and future.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about a little bit of your past, and now we're talking about the practicality of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you wish to push this forward to the next generation about your culture?
Mm-hmm. Well, if we're going to dance, then we should be dancing our dances. And if we're going to protect ourselves and our families and our communities, then let's do it with the arts that we already have. Why seek out when we already have it within? So that's my first answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it already is accessible. So from there, it's just that internal questioning of connecting yourself to your culture and your art. Maybe that's where it can be a little challenging for some people, but also very enriching and connected. Um, so, for example, when I'm dancing choreographies and basic dance movements that have been around for hundreds of years, when you really grasp that, you really have an appreciation for the art and for your ancestors for putting, oh gosh, excuse me, maybe we can,
No, is that putting what?
okay. You appreciate your ancestors for all they did to pass on these choreographies and these dance steps as they were.
Right.
And then when you think of the conditions and the context of what they were going through back then, there's Spanish colonization that's happening, there's banning of the martial arts. When you think of it, banning of ways to protect ourselves and to think for ourselves and for our families to do the same. And the tactic to put our movements so that we can keep training into our dances, that is, that's resourcefulness, that is resilience. These are all these qualities that are embedded in us practicing our cultural dance forms right now. So not only are we dancing movements or doing martial arts movements or just putting movements into action, but we are also putting into action our values, the ways of thinking, our motivations, our breathing patterns, all of those things.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
My name is Tony Pasion. I am a choreographer and a multidisciplinary artist.